Morning. Now I don't normally do this sort of stuff, but I was actually having a look around on the internet yesterday and I found a dessert idea. By the way, in case you're wondering why I'm not wearing a shirt, it's because it's been 30 something degrees for the last couple of days in the UK and it's now raining. Which, as you can imagine, we are all very happy. Now back to the moment at hand. I found a dessert idea, and the general gist of it is you can make a no-bake dessert using, well, one of these really. And if you don't know what this is, it's a plastic cup. You get them in water fountains, etc. Anyway, I got thinking, how hard could it be? So I got one, and I've come up with this. Okay, this is my basic template. The general gist of it is, you make a chocolate shell of whatever chocolate you like. Obviously, it would have to be one with no bits in, so you couldn't have things like fruit and nut, whole nut, that sort of stuff, because it would be too difficult to work with and it wouldn't evenly distribute. So, my plan is, and this is the first time I've made this, so I have no idea if this is going to work. Something like this. And this is written on backwards, but this is going, like I said, I'm just using pre-bought bits to see if this actually works first. So it would actually be this way up. I've been thinking about this. So you have double cream on the bottom with whatever type of fruit you want on top of that. This is after all the shell is made. So you melt down your chocolate, which I have here, which is just cheap plain chocolate that I'm going to melt down. Then, like I said, you put the melted chocolate into one of these, leave it for a minute, assume it doesn't change shape, and then you dump the whole lot out and then whack that in the fridge, and that forms your shell. Same principle as if you were doing truffles. Then the second one is you whip up double cream. In this case, I'm going to do only half. The only bit I'm not going to include is the fruit part, simply because I don't have any. But I'm going to make a chocolate and lemon biscuit version. So it'll have the cream on the base, then it's going to have the sponge, and then it's going to have the biscuit either, and this bit I'm trying to work out, on the base part or in the middle. That I'm kind of working on. I might make two and see which one works better. So let's get on. Right, so the next part is to obviously melt your chocolate. Like I said, I've got some dark chocolate. One of the best rules I've ever heard is buy the best you can afford. And at the moment it's 50p chocolate. Now, the other thing is, just like I said, non-microwavable bulb. Another tip is never cook it on full power, because it will burn. Best bet is put it on defrost. And you want to do it for about 4 to 5 minutes. And the reason for this is because the defrost cycle, as you know, isn't as strong, but it will melt it down evenly and at a better rate rather than just burning it. So, back in a minute. Okay, whilst that is melting, next thing to do is whip up this. Now this is just standard double cream. This is the smallest one I could get because obviously I'm only making 2 prototypes and I don't know how much I'm going to need, rather than buying a massive tub. And at the same time I'm going to put in some lemon curd to make a lemon flavoured one. Now I actually don't know off the top of my head if this is going to work. I'm going to point this out now, but the principle for it is right. So what I'm going to do is, I'll make some space, I am going to whip up, using my stand mixer, whisk this up until it's doubled and thick, then add the lemon curd, and then we'll see what that looks like. Okay, now I've got my salter, yes, salter, stand mixer. Bloody hell. I don't know if you can see this, but this stopped a minute ago. Talk about ADD. Anyway, back to the case in point. So I'm going to use the whisk attachment to wet this all up. Bear with, because I'm doing this whilst holding this at the same time. And then whack it on, Then we pour this all, put all of it in there. Okay. Close this down, and then put it on. Put it on 2 for about a minute and a half. Okay, sorry about the noise, but after 6 minutes our chocolate has melted quite nicely. Still a couple bits, but just keep stirring it and that will melt down. Leave that for about a minute or 2 to cool down a little bit, and then you can add it to our mould. Okay, so our chocolate has melted. It took about 6 minutes in the microwave on defrost, but there's no burnt bits. I'm leaving that for about 5 minutes just to cool down, otherwise it will just melt the plastic. Our cream has been whipped up, so I'm going to add the lemon curd to that in a minute and fold it through, and then put it on use my hand spatula to basically fold it all together. Okay, so that little tub made enough possibly for about 2, maybe 2 to 4, depending on how much stuff you're going to put in with this. Like I said, I'm only doing a 2 to 3 layer one, but that'll be enough for a family of 4 people. I've put in about 1.5 tablespoons of lemon curd, and then just beating it a bit thinner, but it will thicken up when it goes in the fridge, and then we'll see what happens when I start to combine this. Okay, our chocolate mixture has cooled slightly, so what we're going to do is, I've washed one of these out with just some water, just plain cold water, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that in there and hope it doesn't change its shape. And if you put it in obviously straight away, it would just go, actually not doing that, it would just go like that. And the other thing as well is that because this is cheap thin plastic, I don't know how well this is going to work, so back in a minute to try. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So the idea is you fill it up as high as you can get, and then you just move it to the end and very carefully run it round very slowly. As you can see, it will fill in all the gaps. Come on, hurry up. And then, once it's like that, you can turn upside down and shake out the excess. And that leaves you, in a minute when I'm done it, a nice shell. Right, so this is our shell all made up. As you can see, it's coated everything quite nicely, but what you quickly need to do is wipe off the excess along this rim, because this will harden, as you know, and it will make it harder to get out. Okay, so here's our finished shell. One thing I had to do was you get a fork and you run it round the edge, because obviously this lip here, damn rain, this lip here will obviously harden, so this can now go into our fridge. Okay, don't throw this bit away. Leave it in the fridge and then just put it on for a couple of seconds just to make it pliable again. Reason being is because when we're done, we're going to make a lid for it, and that will obviously seal everything up and give us our finished product. Okay, now I had a problem getting it out of the actual plastic cup. The reason for this is because I hadn't made the chocolate thick enough. It was almost like wafer thin. So what I've done is, thankfully I had a spare one. So I've got some greaseproof paper, crunched it up into a ball, like a small square of it, crunched it up into a ball, put it there in the bottom so you got our flat surface. Then cut a bigger strip, as you can see, and flattened it out into the mug so it goes all the way around. Then I'm going to melt the other bar of chocolate, so 600 grams of chocolate, well 600 and a tiny bit, are going to go into this. and then we'll repeat the process, and then we'll leave it for a little while and see how it turns out. Okay, prototype version 2. I've cut off the excess, as you can see, so I've got just enough so I can grab it and take it off. That is 600 grams of chocolate. Just waiting for it to cool. Same principle applies when it comes to making the shell, as far as I can remember. The only difference being is that, hopefully, I am yet to try this. So I should point out that I've only ever done this with silicone molds, so I know it works with them, but I don't have any of this size. So the theory goes that if I pour it all in again, leave it for a minute, and then turn it upside down, it just means I'm going to have really mucky hands, but it should do the same trick. We will see. Right, so I've repeated the process. It did fold over, but I managed to get it back quickly. So hopefully, I mean, you can double it up again. So what you would do is you would do one layer, put it in the fridge, let that harden, and then repeat to thicken each layer. I might give that a try. Okay, so I've given the mold a second coat, and it's much thicker this time. I'm going to put this is actually a piping bag that I bought. You can buy like a job lot of 100 of these on eBay. Got this for £1. That's going to have the not buttercream, the lemon cream in it, which I'm going to use this to pipe it in, and then I'm going to assemble the whole thing. Now, like I said, don't throw that away. That is the remainder of it. It looks a bit funny at the moment. That's just because it's not been mixed and it's starting to set, but it will all look great at the end, probably. Okay, if you haven't worked out already, it's actually a lot easier to just get a glass of near enough equal size to what you're going to be piping in, and then just fold over the edges, whack all your stuff in, and then put this back into the fridge. Got that. And leave it in there for a bit longer, because mine still has that much time left to freeze. Actually, I'll give you a quick preview of it. Might actually be ready. Okay, so this is what the mold looks like at the moment. It's not quite set, but it's not far off. So, next, we're going to do some constructing. Now, as I said, this is just the prototype. So, this is the finished mold, and as you can see, it's going to come out. Bear in mind, I'm holding this one-handed, so it's a bit awkward. That will come out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe this into that, and I'm going to take this. Is just the standard cupcake. I'm going to take the frosting off. I'm going to put the star in the, basically have the top end this side, so the base is inside it as well. It's nice and cold, that. And then that bit, the star will go in on top, minus the fondant. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So that is most of this piped in. Then I can't bother to scrape it off, so that then goes that way. Just use a knife to very gently flatten it in. Then I'm going to take the fondant off this and plonk that on top. So now we have two separate pieces. So that then goes on top, like so. And then that is going to have the remaining chocolate poured on top, and then chucked back in the freezer. So the remaining chocolate has been poured in. I melt it down again because it was starting to set, and then all we need to do is just make sure that is as level as it's ever going to get. And the only way I can do that is give it a couple of taps, and then that goes into the freezer, and then we'll have a finished product. Okay, so this is the big reveal. Here it is. Now, with any luck, this should come out. Et voila. Now, from the look of it, it has leaked a little bit in the mug, but not that bad. So the theory goes that if I'm lucky, I should be able to peel off all the paper without eating the chocolate as I go. Now I think the problem I'm going to have is this bit, as you can tell, because as I've folded it over, it's gone into that kind of crevice, I suppose you can call it. Now the one thing that you really need to do, that I am currently not doing, because it's not possible, is keeping your hands as cold as possible, simply because that's paper, of the fact that I haven't tempered this chocolate, which is where, like you get on most well, no, all bars of chocolate you get in like a shop or something, you can hold it in your hand and it doesn't melt. So one sec. Right, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut I'm going to have to cut some of this off, but here you go, one completed dessert. Now I've got to take the chocolate off, so I'm going to be back in a minute. Okay, so this is the final one. I've had to trim off the excess kind of bits of chocolate so it was level, and one thing I have found is the 2 pieces of greaseproof that I used. So the outside part for this bit is perfectly fine. However, the circular part I scrunched up and put on here needs to be flat, because I scrunched it up so I could get it in. And what happened was all the chocolate had gone into the kind of gaps in between. So but because I made the base thicker, I've sawed that off so it's flat. And okay, it doesn't look the greatest, I will admit, but this is a prototype and all prototypes are a bit rubbish. So this is the kind of final outcome. Now, as you can see, the top is a bit bad at the moment. However, the rest of this is actually all smooth. So what I've done is I have got next to me a pint of boiling water with my knife in it. Now, I'm gonna, not in reality, you should leave this overnight to obviously firm up properly, but I'm doing this quick because I'm lazy. So, take this out, and always make sure, I know this may not sound obvious, but when you're doing this, put your knife in and out a few times just so it gets used to the temperature. Now, I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm going to make this plain right now. If it does, great. Then I need to figure out a way to sort the top half. In fact, do the whole shell, because I can't do it the same way I would say a cake liner. If they did really small versions of that on the same height as something like that, yeah, I'd be laughing. But unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, they don't exist. Aside from cupcakes, normal size cakes, and that's pretty much it. You can make them like I've done, and that's fine. Like I said, I've done the side of it, and you can see it's quite smooth all the way around. I mean, there's just the line here where the bit of paper folded over, but again, prototype. So I'm going to cut it now, so we'll see what this looks like. Okay, so nice hot knife, and wait and see. Ready? Yes, I have lost weight, in case you wondered. This might take a few goes. Yeah. So the chocolate has firmed up on the inside, and under there is your sponge. So I am going to take that one as a win, and now I'm going to eat it. So like I said, I would normally have left this in the fridge, in the freezer overnight to firm up, but it has started to firm up. I mean, it didn't have as long as I wanted, but the general gist of this actually does work. So next time I'm going to do this all properly. I'm going to figure out how to do this shell. The inside I'm happy with. The shell I need to do some practice with. But on the whole, I am quite chuffed with that. So if you want to have a go at this, by all means give it a go and upload pictures, and we can see how you've done it and how I've done it. And if you have any suggestions on what I can do to improve, then go for it. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go watch John Wick 2, eat this, then I'm going to watch Lego Batman and not eat this because I would have eaten it. See you later. Bye.